Hi Johnny, it's really good to see you again. How have you been doing since our last session?
Good. Just not, just a little worried. You know, every time I drive, I'm not really confident driving with my family in the car. And it's not easy to be on the road, especially having my family with me. It can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, and I know that you mentioned in our last session that you were in a pretty bad car accident and that it was taking a toll on you emotionally. So I had you write an impact statement, and I kind of want to explain why I had you write an impact statement. We're gonna go through finding your stuck points, which a stuck point essentially is a way that your brain makes sense of trauma that's happened. So your car accident, you feel like you could have done something to prevent it, or you're having self-doubt and self-blame regarding the car accident, right? Those in CPT, which is cognitive processing therapy, are known as stuck points. And so we're gonna try to identify those for you today. What you're describing is actually very common in a sudden accident. It can happen through all different types of trauma, but especially car accidents. Many people replay moments over and over in their head. So we're gonna look at what you wrote. Whenever you feel comfortable, you can share it, and then we will try to figure out some stuck points and try to work through them.
Okay. Since the accident, I keep replaying the whole thing in my head. I feel like I should have seen the other car sooner or reacted faster. I keep thinking that if I were paying better attention, maybe the crash wouldn't have happened. I used to feel confident driving, but now I'm tense and on edge anytime. I feel that I'm tense and on edge anytime I'm on the road. Having trouble trusting myself, and I feel guilty that I put myself and my family in danger. It feels like I failed to keep everyone safe, and I'm worried it means I'm not a reliable or responsible person anymore.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. We're going to work through this together. One of my favorite things about the cognitive processing process is that it comes with worksheets, so it's a very practical exercise. So I gave you a worksheet. We're going to kind of just go through it together step by step and kind of identify some of these thoughts that you've been having. Okay. So first, when you look at your statement that you wrote, what specific thoughts kind of stand out to you as the most upsetting, or ones that kind of repeat the most? And again, going back to stuck points, this is what CPT would call a stuck point.
Okay. I think some of the biggest ones are just wishing I would have seen the car sooner. You know, I feel like if I would have seen it sooner, I'd be able to react better, and I wouldn't be in this situation. And putting my family in any sort of danger, or maybe not being that strong figure that I thought I was, out. If I can't even be careful on the road, it makes me think I can, be careful taking my family in any sort of situation. So just doubting my ability as, a husband or whatever the case is, and just feeling guilty that it happened. I feel like I'm a fairly good driver, so just the fact that it happened in the first place, makes me feel like either I'm, there's something wrong with me, or maybe I'm not paying enough attention. Whatever the case is, it doesn't really sit well.
Yeah, and that's a lot of weight to carry, not knowing what the true meaning behind it and what actually happened. So that's what we're going to work through together. So when you have these thoughts, what kind of emotions surround these thoughts?
The feeling that I should have seen the car sooner. It's very frustrating. Like I said, I feel like I'm a fairly good driver, and so I don't text and drive. I don't really mess around in the car while I'm driving. So the fact that I didn't see the car and, was hit just is very frustrating because I don't know what was going on in that moment for me not to have seen the vehicle coming. And that plays into it feeling like it was my fault, right? Feeling guilty. I don't know what it was or what it is, but I don't get into car accidents, so it happened and it has to have been my fault, right? Like it doesn't happen to me. So the fact that it did, it feels like I did something wrong.
Yeah.
And just self-doubt, maybe I am not as good of a driver, or maybe I am getting older and I can't react as fast, and then just kind of putting in my family in any sort of situation doubts, the man that I'm supposed to be for my family. So
yeah, those are very common feelings that you're feeling, especially after something like this, not just trying to figure out like what happened.
Yeah.
So of those thoughts that you listed, which one would you say would be the most distressing, or the one that kind of controls your emotions the most when you think about the car accident?
Obviously, the safety of my family is huge, but that starts with, I just can't believe I didn't see the car, right? Like when I'm in the restaurants with my family, I always feel like I'm very attentive to the things that are going on around me, and just not, being focused enough to like react and, move out of the way, or, not put my family in some sort of situation that's kind of the most annoying. And I don't know if that's like an ego thing, but just really frustrated with myself for letting it happen in the first place.
Yeah. So the next step in the prompt is, how has the stuck point affected you? But you've already elaborated on that. And just to reiterate that you feel a lot of guilt and shame, right, around the accident, and that you feel a lot more tense while driving. You feel guilty as far as your judgment, or you doubt your judgment being able to drive on the road, and it affects your confidence.
Absolutely.
And that's hard, especially driving is an everyday thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes a lot of toll, right? Can you tell me what's some evidence, right? So what makes you feel that the accident could have actually been your fault?
Excuse me. Just getting hit on the right side. I feel like it was, maybe I could have swerved out of the way, or maybe I could have braked sooner. I don't know. I just feel like that may be avoidable.
Yeah. Right.
And so just that really doesn't kind of stick with me. Okay.
So on the contrary, what is some evidence against this thought, right? So what I mean by that is, what are some facts that show that the accident wasn't fully in your control?
Speaking of evidence, the police report that came out after, all was said and done, the police stated that the car ran a red light and was speeding, and that they're the ones who were at fault, like technically, and legally it wasn't my fault. Like on paper it was their fault. So
okay, so that's going to give you some reassurance, right?
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Okay. So after looking at both sides, your feelings that you could have prevented it, and the facts that it was actually unavoidable and that it wasn't your fault, what is a more kind of accurate way to understand what happened in the accident?
I'm sorry, can you elaborate?
So, for example, you said that you feel like you could have braked faster and then the accident would have happened. However, the police report says that the individual ran a red light, and there was no way for you to know that they were going to run a red light,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So you reacted the best that you could in that moment, and the accident was out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound
No,
accurate.
absolutely. That makes sense.
And so when you reframe your thought process in that way, it was unpredictable. It happened really fast, and it wasn't something that you could have prevented.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal of this reframing and kind of identifying these stuck points, is taking that self-blame and self-doubt and things that your brain tells yourself to make sense of what happened, and reframing it to make more sense of what actually happened.
No, absolutely.
So after kind of reframing these thought processes, how does it feel to kind of say it out loud?
It definitely feels better. You know, I definitely shouldn't be so hard on myself. In the moments, it's kind of hard to be like very hard and critical on my own person, but having this conversation and going through kind of all the steps and understanding that it wasn't my fault and it was inevitable, unfortunately, does kind of ease the unsettledness
Yeah.
in myself. So it'll still definitely take some time, but it is nice to know that like it's normal and it's not my fault.
Yeah.
So this is definitely makes sense and helps for sure.
Well, that's good. I'm really glad. I am going to send you home with some homework since our session's about to come up to an end. And I basically just want you to take the tools that I taught you and that we worked through together while we're not in session. So when you're not here and we're not together, if these thoughts come into your mind, to try to utilize the exercise and kind of reframe your thoughts. So if another thought comes into your head, you ask yourself, okay, what's the evidence for it? And then what's the evidence against it? And how can I reframe this thought to be not as self-blaming?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is that something that you think you could work on? And if you have any questions, you can bring it to the next session, and then we can work through it together.
No, and absolutely. I think having all the tools in the tool belt will be very helpful. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for walking through this with me today. I really appreciate it. I will give you this worksheet as well, so you can take it with you. It's handy. It's very helpful. And we will build on this next time.
Sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.